In 1875, a British naval vessel was dragging equipment across the floor of the South Pacific. Routine survey work, sediment samples, depth measurements. Nobody was looking for anything unusual. At 4,000 meters, the equipment came back up with two teeth. Triangular, serrated, each one roughly the size of an open human hand. The teeth of a megalodon, a shark that science considered long extinct. Nobody panicked. Fossilized megalodon teeth turn up on ocean floors all the time. The species existed for 16 million years. It shed up to 40,000 teeth in a lifetime. The deep ocean is littered with them. The teeth were catalogued, filed away, and for 84 years nothing happened. Then, in 1959, a zoologist named Vladimir Chernesky published a paper in the journal Nature. He was looking at the manganese dioxide coating on their surface. Manganese accumulates on objects sitting on the seafloor at a slow, measurable rate. If you know the rate, you can calculate how long the object has been sitting there. Chernesky calculated the first tooth approximately 11,000 years old, the second 24,000, not millions. 11,000 years. The animal that lost that tooth was alive during the last ice age. Alive when human beings were already walking this planet. The paper was published in Nature, not a fringe publication, not a forum. Nature, one of the most rigorously reviewed scientific journals that exists. And then, almost nothing happened. No search program was launched, no deep-sea expedition was dispatched. No agency redirected resources toward finding out whether that number was real. 11 years later, two Soviet researchers published a rebuttal. Belyaev and Glickman showed that Chernesky had used the wrong manganese growth rate, one that ran 20 to 30 times faster than the more accurate method. Corrected for that error, the teeth were far older than he claimed. The methodology was flawed. The 1959 paper was wrong. That's the official position, and it's probably correct. But here's what the rebuttal didn't address. If those teeth had been sitting on the seafloor for 3.5 million years, they should have been buried. Objects on an active ocean floor get covered by sediment. These teeth were near the surface of the sediment layer, not deep inside it. The explanation for that is bottom currents. Strong currents in certain locations prevent sediment from accumulating. Objects stay exposed. In 2023, a research team recovered a megalodon tooth at 3,000 meters depth, sitting almost vertical on a ridge crest, unburied, perfectly preserved. Same explanation, bottom currents, no sediment accumulation on the ridge. That explanation is probably right, but here's what it actually means. In locations swept by bottom currents, sediment position tells you nothing about when a tooth fell there. The currents erase that information. You cannot use it as evidence of age. You cannot use it as evidence of recency. The tooth is there. That's all you know. Drop a comment right now. Just write the word extinct. I want to know how many people are watching this and actually thinking about what that word means when we apply it to something no human being has ever seen alive. Something that for all our data and all our models, we have only ever encountered as a fossil. The official extinction date for Megalodon is approximately 3.5 million years ago. We know this because the teeth stop appearing in the fossil record at that point. No confirmed specimen younger than that boundary has ever been found. That statement is almost entirely true. The part that doesn't get discussed is where that fossil record comes from. Overwhelmingly from coastal zones, from shallow water deposits accessible from shore, from trawl nets operating in the upper ocean. The deep ocean basins, the trenches, the abyssal plains, those sediment records are largely untouched. We have mapped less than 20% of the ocean floor. Direct biological surveys cover a fraction of that. We haven't found recent megalodon teeth in the deep ocean. We also haven't looked there with any real consistency. Megalodon was not a shallow water animal. Its teeth have been found in every major ocean basin on Earth. Its prey were large marine mammals, early whale species, deep divers. An animal that size would have been capable of staying at depth for extended periods, surfacing rarely, remaining almost entirely invisible to anything observing from above. Great white sharks are well studied because they come to us. They hunt in coastal shallows, they approach boats, they show up where we already are. An animal the length of two great white sharks nose to tail, hunting in the water columns above the Mariana Trench, would have almost no reason to ever come near the surface. Near us, near anything we could observe. Here is something that appears in the scientific literature without much comment on what it implies. Sperm whales are regularly recovered with injuries that don't match any documented predator. Circular wound patterns, bite dimensions inconsistent with any known deep water species. The scientists who study these injuries have a quiet, persistent debate about what sperm whales are encountering at 2,000 meters. Nobody is naming Megalodon. They note the wound, they record it, they submit the report. And in the next expedition, the same wounds appear on a different whale. That pattern has been running for decades, in the same depth zones, in the same ocean basins. The wounds are documented, the explanation isn't. In 2004, the first photographs of a living giant squid were taken. Before that, science knew the species only from dead specimens and from the marks it left on whale skin. Researchers had studied its anatomy for over a century. They had built detailed models of its behavior. Every model was wrong. The living animal was more aggressive, more capable, and moved in ways that dead specimens had given no indication of whatsoever. A species studied for generations surprised the scientific community the first time anyone saw one alive. The giant squid reaches around 13 meters. It lives at depths between 300 and 1,000 meters. That is the shallow end of the deep ocean. Below 1,000 meters, our observational record becomes sparse. Below 3,000, it becomes almost nothing. Below 6,000, we have a few hours of footage, total from a handful of expeditions across the entire history of deep-sea research. The colossal squid, larger than the giant, deeper, more powerful, wasn't confirmed as a species until 1925. The largest specimen ever recovered measured around 14 meters. That is the largest one we have found. It is not necessarily the largest one that exists. The animals we find are the ones that died in ways that brought them to us. The ones that lived full lives in the deep and died there are not in our museums, not in our data, not in our models. They are somewhere at the bottom of the ocean. Now consider this. The case for Megalodon's extinction was built from the parts of the ocean we could reach. Coastal zones, shallow deposits, the accessible 5%. The argument is not that we searched the deep ocean and found nothing. The argument is that we searched the parts we could get to and found nothing there. Those are not the same argument. The Challenger teeth are in a museum in London. The 1959 paper is in the Nature Archive. The rebuttal is in the literature. The sperm whale injuries are in the reports. And the deep ocean, the place where something that size could move, feed, and die across millions of years without once appearing in a trawl net or a sediment core we happen to pull, that place is less than 20% mapped. We have decided, by default, that the question is closed. It isn't. If this is the kind of investigation you want to follow, subscribe and turn on notifications. Next, we're going into the acoustic archive. Sounds recorded at extreme depth, no known biological source. some of them detected in the same water columns where those sperm whale injuries keep showing up. The deep ocean doesn't answer easily, but it does leave marks.